Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're here to talk about the Tamagotchi.
Well, if it isn't Tamagotchi, her new favorite pet.
Yes!
So what's that make me, fish sticks?
Oh, are you hungry?
Oh, no. By all means, feed it. Play till your heart's content.
Look, Goldie! I took good care of her, and she changed again.
Change? How about changing some water here?
Katie, Buzz is here.
So Tamagotchi can pause. I can pause too. Want to see that again?
Tamagotchi, the original virtual reality pet. Your care determines the pets you get from Bandai.
So the Tamagotchis have been around for a very long time. They were actually originally created in Japan, and in 1996 they released in Japan by Bandai, and then Bandai brought them over to the United States in 1997. And I want to showcase some of these Tamagotchis for you guys, because there's been a lot of different versions, a lot of versions doing different things, all the way from the original and all the way to Tamagotchis are still being sold today. I don't know how many of you guys realize this, but Tamagotchis are not stuff that you can just buy from before, and a lot has changed. Even though the essence of the Tamagotchis are still the same, you could still literally go on Amazon right now and buy different Tamagotchis that are being sold today with new features and stuff than you remember from the original 1996 and 1997 version. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
So I have 4 different Tamagotchis here, as you guys are looking at, from 4 different generations of the Tamagotchi. And there's a ton of different Tamagotchi generations out there. Of course, I don't have every single one, but I kind of have one to represent the era of each one. And of course, this is the original that we're starting with right here. And these things have sold a ton. Like I said, there's a bunch of different versions of these. There is over 91 million of these have sold since in the last update of 2023. So these are still selling today, and they're still pretty popular with some people, and they definitely bring them a nostalgia for people who are playing this. But let's go ahead and start here with the original. If we zoom in here to the original, you can see this is the one from 1997 here. This is the one that we probably all remember growing up with, that we first got, and it always had these default buttons. It was the A, B, and C buttons here. If we zoom into this Tamagotchi here and I start pressing these buttons, you can see the little creature that's moving around there and stuff like that, and you can see that you can feed him, you can play games with him, and the mini games were the biggest thing about this thing. And sorry, I know it's hard for me to play this with one hand while I'm recording at the same time, but you can see I'm scrolling through all the different ones, and this is the original, so you can see it's in black and white. The middle was always your enter, and then you can feed him a meal. And there you go, he's chomping at that. You guys remember him chomping at the bit there to eat some food, and then you can also give him a snack. There he goes, eating his snack. And of course, it was all about keeping these Tamagotchis happy. Feed them, to take care of them, to play mini games with them, to keep them happy, to, watch them when they go to the bathroom and you see things appear. And these would evolve. So they would start off as babies, and then they would evolve, and you would see them evolve right in front of your eyes, which was obviously cool. And yeah, this was the original one. So there wasn't a ton of features on this one. There was only a couple of mini games, and it was very basic. There wasn't a lot of things that you can do. So it was a pretty cool Tamagotchi that kind of started it all. And we all remember fondly playing with this one, because this was the original. You can see the screen is pretty small, really basic, but it started everything that we all remember. Now, I think the one that's most sought after that people talk about out of all those different versions is definitely version 4.5. This is the one that a lot of people deem to be the one from the originals from the late 90s to the early 2000s that probably had the best mini games. At least that's what most people say online. There's 5 different mini games on this one that you can play. Some of them show up when you're a baby, and then more show up as you grow old and stuff like that, into adulthood. But and then obviously you can see the screen size is obviously bigger than the original one was. And it had this like start icon there at the top. You guys all remember that beeping sound? Can't forget about that. But yeah, so this one has a couple of new features as well, but the premise is still the same. You're still feeding them, taking care of them. The buttons are slightly different. Like there's a shower one to clean everything, but you can still do that on the original one as well. This one had a mailbox feature where you would actually receive mail throughout the like once a day and stuff like that, which was keeping you interested. You can actually buy items and stuff. So like I said, there's definitely more things that you could do here. With buying items and stuff like that, but the premise still remained the same in version 4.5. But it's like every single version they added a minor tweak. So between all the way from version 1 all the way to version 4.5, there was a lot of things that they changed, and a lot of people just think this is the best version of all of them, even though there is a 5.0 and a 6.0. But everyone talks about the mini games of this one. So if there was one Tamagotchi you wanted from the original, from your childhood, that you would remember, it would be version 4.5. This would be the one that I would recommend most people get if you want to have your childhood memories come back, because it still has that black and white screen. The screen's a little bit bigger. The mini games are probably the best out of the whole entire original line. And yeah, so I think this is the one to get if there was only one you're going to get. But like I talked about before, there are also other Tamagotchis that you can literally get, now, because obviously these, if you want to get them, you're going to have to go on eBay, resort to paying high prices and stuff like that when you want to buy them, and because obviously they're no longer sold. So you're going to have to, rely on the third-party market for that. But these two here that we're going to be talking about are actually still sold on Amazon, and these are ones that came out recently. So as you can see, this one is the Tamagotchi Pix. This one is really, really thick. As you can see here, it also takes batteries, like regular AAA batteries. These obviously use the little batteries, as you can see there, and this one did as well. This one was the bigger circle batteries, but this one actually, you just take the back cover off, and it was actually AA batteries. Or sorry, AAA batteries that fit in here. There was two of them, and you can see this one obviously changed a lot. But we're talking about, from all the way from the early 2000s to now talking about the, a few years ago, essentially, when the Tamagotchi Pix came out. And this one, the whole catch of this one, the whole shtick of this one, because they usually now all come out with their own idea and, oh, what makes this version different than all the rest of them? And this one's all about the camera. So you can take pictures of yourself. You can take pictures with the Tamagotchi and stuff like that. The mini games rely on the camera, and they use some of the camera features and stuff like that. The buttons on the bottom of this one, instead of being those standard buttons that you press in, they actually switch to a touchscreen, touch capacitive one. So there's no actual button here. You can see here, you can see all the status. You can still scroll through like you normally would and look at their stats and stuff like that. As you can see here, you can see all his happy, his hungry, his friendship, all that kind of stuff is still there. Just like the 4.5 version here that kind of added it. It's all about these gotcha points, which you can use to, buy items for your character or buy different food and stuff like that, buy outfits. That was a huge thing. They have some of that on the 4.5, not on the original, but this is where it starts to take off here, because everything is now obviously in full color. So they have a lot to kind of mess with here. But again, the premise of this stuff still stays the same. There's obviously new features on this one, the Tamagotchi with the camera and stuff like that. You even have mini games. Again, that's what makes these fun to collect, I would say, is that all of them have their own mini games. It's not like you're buying these Tamagotchis and they all have the same games. Every time you buy a new version, whether it's 1.0, 2.0, the Uni, or this one, the Pix, they all have their own mini games attached to them. So you're always going to be playing different mini games and stuff, which is really cool. And this one also became a lot more social. So you can actually, if you knew friends that had the Tamagotchi Pix and stuff, you can actually connect them together, and they would become friends and be able to visit each other. This one has a bunch of different locations that you can visit that are programmed in here that you can go through, so you can play. There's a bathroom. There's an arcade that eventually opens up. My character is still in his early stages when I restarted this thing. You can see there's the connect button, so you can connect with your friends and stuff like that. Medicine, your notebook. And what was cool about these colored ones as well, once they got, more advanced and stuff, is that when you actually got to see them in different rooms. Like, for example, if I were to go over here and feed him right now, you can see you have different ways to feed him. You can go to the fridge, a restaurant, and cook, depending on what age they are. But again, my character's a little bit too young right now. But you can see here we got milk, and you can see he goes to like a kitchen area and stuff. So the backgrounds become a little bit cool, a little bit more inventive, instead of just looking at the plain black backgrounds that you see on the original two that we talked about before. As they became color, they started taking advantage of putting them in different areas and stuff. You can see my guy's a little bit upset right now. I gotta say though, like, this Tamagotchi is not my favorite. I do end up liking this other one that we're about to talk about more, only because it has nothing to do with the fact that this is so thick, even though it came out before the Tamagotchi Uni, which is the current model that we're going to be talking about. But this Tamagotchi here, not only is it thick, but I don't like the touch capacitive buttons, because they were probably made for kids' hands and smaller hands and stuff. So trying to manipulate this stuff sometimes makes it seem like you're hitting this side and this side at the same time. So it kind of makes it go backwards sometimes when I'm trying to hit the middle, and it touches both of them because it's touch capacitive buttons. So I really don't like the touch capacitive buttons, and I'm sure that they probably heard that feedback because this one came out a few years ago, and then they came out with the Tamagotchi Uni, and they went right back again to the buttons that used to be here all the time that we all remember from the originals. That's probably for the best. But then you can see here, this guy's an adult. You can see he's 6, so I need to care for him real quick. There we go. You just got to tap that a few times. You can see we got to do some cleanup back there. So this one has gigantic buttons, as you can see here, so it's really easy to navigate. But the Tamagotchi Uni really introduced something new. So like I said, these all have something new to them and something that you're doing. So this one also still had, you know, all the features that I talked about on the other one besides the camera stuff. There's obviously no camera here. And this one went back to, and this one actually charges. So you actually plug this in via USB-C. So you can tell that this is obviously a brand new one now that they're using USB-C. Still has the same colored screen and stuff like that. Still taking advantage of all those other things. But what this one added is DLC. So you can actually go and download DLC into the game and actually travel to different areas and meet Tamagotchis from different areas and stuff like that from around the world from something called Tommyverse. So far they have released 2 different packs of DLC. One that was free, they're called Berryland, and another one that they have released as well. And you can actually play mini games with other people around the world and stuff like that on this one, as you can see. And this is the Tommyverse. This is where you get to meet other characters online and stuff like that, which is super cool. They got their own language now that they speak, as you can hear. So this one definitely added a lot. There's a bunch of different Tommies. You can download more Tommies that you can, you know, basically work with and stuff like that, and try to, you know, raise and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different ones that you can actually raise instead of just like the originals where it was just like the standard one that looked in a certain way. They started developing a lot more different ones here, which is cool. But you can see here as we scroll through, we got the Tommy Arena, which is where you play mini games against others online. You got the arcade over here. This is the Tommy Portal. So it's really, really cool that you can actually play these mini games now. You know, with others online, it's really cool that you actually have DLC. This is definitely my favorite one because I think it adds, you know, this is going to be my childhood one, of course, when it comes to the one that I remember playing with when I was younger, because this is I don't know if I had version 4.5, but I definitely had the black and white one that had these similar style and stuff like that. And even if I had the original one, I don't particularly remember which one of these 2 versions I had. But I know I had one of these black and white versions, and 4.5 obviously being the best one by most people. This is the one I gravitate to, is when I want to feel that nostalgia and just, hey, I just want the basic stuff. I want to just take care of my Tamagotchi, raise him, get him as, you know, just feed him and stuff like that and take care of him like normal. But I want something a little bit more involved. I usually gravitate towards this one, and the fact that it's in full color, it recharges really easily via USB-C. We got the different backgrounds and stuff that you can go through. You have online gameplays. You can connect this via Wi-Fi. This one had the camera one is cool because it has the camera features and you can take pictures with your Tommy and stuff like that and be in the background. So it has some interesting features. These buttons I don't really like, but I still like to play with this one because again, it has its own unique mini games. This one didn't have any actual DLC that you can purchase like for $6 or $7 like this one does. But this one lets you, you know, just do certain missions online and unlock different items and characters for your Tamagotchi. So a lot of these you can literally play. Oh, is this guy evolving as we're on camera? Yep, he just evolved. You guys saw that. We're live on camera. So he evolved from a baby and now he's ready to go to the next one. So what makes these also interesting, so back in the day when you had these Tamagotchis here and you were playing with them, once you kind of, you know, evolved them and stuff like that, they kind of evolved to the same. But then as this progressed, this one has a bunch of different, I don't know exactly how many, but it has a bunch of different Tommies that you can, you know, grow and grow up and stuff like that. And same thing with these. So you have a bunch of different Tommies that you can actually, you know, take through life and stuff like that. So it makes it interesting that you can keep playing and not worry about, you know, playing the same character over and over again, because you're going to be playing different Tommies. And as it got later on, like these 2 here with the DLC stuff and stuff, now you can actually get more Tommies and always have new fresh Tommies that you're, you know, playing with, and it's not always the same one. So that obviously makes it really fun to play with. All right, guys, so that is just a general overview of these Tamagotchis that I own in my collection, just to give you guys some nostalgia on remembering what these things were For those of you guys who may not have seen them in a long time, I used to have Tamagotchis when I grew up as a kid. I had one of those versions. I don't remember if it was the original or something around the 4.5 like you guys saw. My memory is vague. The only thing I remember is playing with them when they were in black and white, and I definitely played the simple version of it. I never obviously got into, the later ones in the 2000s when I got a little bit older. I never had any of those. And obviously I never had these latest two models, the Uni and the Tamagotchi Pix, until recently when I wanted to do this video and compare where we are today compared to where they are before. And like I said, if you want the nostalgic trip and you want to, remember what you saw when you were kids, then obviously the Tamagotchi 4.5 is the best version that I would recommend you guys get, because that's the one that has the best mini games according to most people. It has the most amount of features that you guys are going to love and a lot to do when it comes to the black and white series. But if you don't care about that and you just want to go with the one that, has the most amount of features and today's standards, then the Uni is probably where it's at, because that's the one that's being still worked on today. The Pix one is still cool and it's still being sold on Amazon, and it has the camera features and stuff, which is pretty cool, but it's not actively being worked on with new DLC and stuff like that, because that's not what they did on that one. They only had a couple of missions that you can do online, and you can unlock different items and Tommies that you would input the code onto, because that one does have Wi-Fi as well, and then you'd be able to download it into your game. But on the Uni now, they're actually adding extra DLC where you can literally pay a few dollars, like the $6, and actually get brand new areas, brand new Tommies to raise that are different from one another and all that stuff. So if you want to have the most amount of gameplay and that's all you care about, then the Uni is where it's at, because you're going to be able to not only have a lot of content right there on the device itself, but you're also going to be able to download more stuff as the time goes on. I think the next update that they have coming to that is like a fashion show kind of thing. So every time they release one of these DLCs, you have like a fashion show, and it has like all these quirky, talking languages as they talk and stuff like that and make their noises. But then they have a lot of items that you can purchase that are specific to that DLC for your character, and then obviously the new areas to explore. So Tamagotchis are definitely really cool. They're obviously really annoying. They have that beeping sound that we all know and love, that they're like, oh my God, he's beeping again. I just fed you 10 minutes ago kind of mentality. But I found that, they're pretty lenient, except the original. The Tommy Unis and stuff like that, I've had to leave them for a day without actually taking care of them, because I went out and stuff and didn't actually feed them or anything. And I come back and they were not dead, because we all remember if you leave them alone for too long, they will die. Like the original and the 4.5, if you leave them alone for like a day, you'll come back and the Reaper has gotten them. They'll be dead with the timestamp and stuff. These two later ones give you a little bit more leeway, where you have like a full day-ish before they start dying and stuff like that if you don't do anything with them. But the original ones were definitely hardcore, man. That original one, if you didn't take care of him within like a certain amount of hours, he was gone. You lost your Tommy and that was it. You're going to have to start all over again. So it's really interesting too for these Tamagotchis, for those of you guys who remember, that there's no way to turn them off. You have to literally take off the battery. Even the latest one here, it goes into standby and stuff, and it turns the screen off to save battery, but there's no way to turn it off. You just have to leave it on standby, and your character's either going to die or not if you're not taking care of them. And the original ones, unless if you take the batteries out, it's the same thing. There's no on and off button. And if you take the batteries out, obviously that means you lost your character and stuff, which is fine. But yeah, there's no off feature, because obviously these Tamagotchis are living and breathing. You can't just turn it off and come back 3 weeks later. He's going to be dead anyway. So that's probably why they don't have an off feature, because they know it has to always be on for you to always be taking care of your Tamagotchi. So something to keep in mind with these. But hope you guys got some nostalgic trip out of this video and you guys had some fun. I love doing these 90s videos. Stay tuned. I'm doing a lot more videos on different things like the talk board, like yo-yos and stuff like that. We got a lot more stuff to get into on this channel. But hopefully you guys had some fun watching this. And let me know if you guys have any questions. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.